whole 50 instead of the standard deduction of 35. Then the donor advised funds gives the charity the money, the charity of your choice, every year the amount you want to give to the charities until it's exhausted. And every year after the first year, you get to go back to your standard deductions. So if you're giving money to charity, start getting use of the deduction or the donation, okay? All right, so let's talk about taxes. Why are taxes gonna go up? Anybody? They always do? Because the government loves to spend other people's money, right? So it's a spending problem, right? But let's talk about a few exact reasons. We've talked about 2026, but what about the federal debt? How much are we in debt right now? Trillions, a lot more than trillions. How many trillions? 35 trillion dollars.
Wow, I remember something.
35 trillion. When I moved to the United States in year 2000, the debt was 5 trillion.
So you spend all this money?
I guess I'm the problem, right? 5 trillion, 2000, 20 some years later, 35 trillion. It's a big problem, isn't it? Interest on the debt back in 2000 was 5%. Interest on the debt last year, a year and a half ago, was 0.5%. Pretty cheap interest, right? But interest rates have done what? They've gone up. Interest on the debt now is 4%, and the government still in their budget says it's 0.5. In the government's budget, they still have a 0.5% interest cost when it's 4. 4% on 35 trillion is a lot of money. Further to that, for every dollar you send into the IRS, 62 cents pays for only 3 things. Anybody want to guess what those 3 things are? Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. 10,000 Americans today turned 65 years old. Today. And what are they going to do? Going to go on Social Security, take Medicare. By the way, 10,000 Americans tomorrow will turn 65. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day for 10 more years, the baby boomers. So we've got a problem here. This 62 cents is probably going to be more expensive. These 3 things. By the way, Medicare and Medicaid are 5 times more expensive than Social Security. Are taxes going to go up? Probably going to have to go up. I'm from Canada. When I left Canada in year 2000, the tax rate there on $50,000 of income and higher was 52%. That was federal. The state, the province, the provincial sales tax was 15% on anything I bought. Very high taxes. You know why Canadians don't care about high taxes? Because they only have to pay taxes in Canadian dollars. Good laugh. It's a good joke, right? Thank you. So taxes are probably going to go up. So when we create a tax plan for our clients, we have to think about how to structure things in the right way. And so I'm going to give you an idea of how to structure things to get to 0 taxes in retirement. We call it The Power of Zero after a book called The Power of Zero. It also became a movie, The Power of Zero. So if you structure it in the right way, so if I was taking notes today, I'd make a column. I'd make 3 columns of money, and I'd say, okay, how much money do I have in a taxable column? That was that kind of middle cup, right? I've got taxable interest. Every year, every February, I get a 1099 from the bank, right? Bank of America, $6.50 interest on your savings account, right? Dividend from Fidelity stocks I own, a $10,000 dividend. A capital gain, a short-term, long-term. I bought a mutual fund. That mutual fund sold some stocks, and I have to pay the tax. And so I get a 1099 on my taxable money. So write down all the accounts and all the assets you have that are earning taxable interest. And nice thing about that kind of money is it's very liquid, isn't it? I could sell the CD today. I could get out of the savings account. I could sell the mutual fund, the bond. It's liquid. The best thing about liquid money is that it can be used for what? Emergencies. How much money should you have in an emergency fund at all times?
6 months.
6 months of expenses, right? So if you get fired, you can find a new job. If you're retired and your water heater goes out, you can buy a water heater. If you're retired and there's a special sale on a cruise, you can buy that cruise. 6 months of expenses. If you have more than 6 months of expenses in a taxable account, you are voluntarily paying too much tax. You'd be surprised how many people come across the street and visit with Leo or Brock, and they've got $1 million in this taxable account, earning $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in interest, and guess what? They're paying a ton of tax on that money. So the key here is only have 6 months of expenses in the taxable account. Move the rest over where? To the tax deferred account or to the tax free account. You can move $1 million from taxable account to a tax deferred account like that, easy. You can move $1 million from a taxable account to a tax free account. If you do that, you'll pay a lot less tax. You'll pay 0 tax out of that account. So now, if you have the right amount in a tax deferred account, it's all about the right amount in the right bucket. If you have the right amount in tax deferred, you'll pay no tax either. Tax deferred is what? 401ks, right? IRAs, 457, 403bs, pensions, all that kind of tax deferred, right? When you touch this money, it's taxable. So if you have the right amount, you can pay no tax. What's the right amount? By the way, you can put a tax deferred annuity in here, have $1 million in there, and pay no tax. Well, remember, I'm going to use an example here, and everyone in the audience, everyone here today is going to have a different example, or yourself is a different example. But we're going to use a married couple, age 65, and this married couple has $750,000 in an IRA, 401k, and they retired at 65, and they said, we're going to start spending some of this money. In my industry, they tell me that you should take about 4 or 5% out every year, right, to live on, and your money will last your lifetime. It's called the 4% rule. Now, the 4% rule only works for 3 out of 4 couples. The 4th couple runs out of money. Okay, it's called the sequence of return risk. We're going to talk about how to eliminate that risk so everyone can spend that 4 or 5% and not run out of money. But if I take 4%, and Leroy might have to help me with the math. If I take 4% out of $750,000 at age 65, 66, 69, 73, whatever the RMD age is, that's about $30,000. $30,000. How much is my standard deduction? Married couple 65. About $30,000, right? So if I take $30,000 out of an IRA and I have a $30,000 deduction, how much tax do I pay? 0. That's the power of 0. That gives me a 0 tax bracket. Now, a young couple, 60 years old, came into the office this last year, and they had $1.5 million in their 401k. They had no kids. They saved a lot of money. Good problem to have. They're still working. What did we do? We took that 1.5 million and we took it out and put it in Netflix. We lost half. Now we're good. No, we have to stop the problem. So instead of adding to the IRA every year working, we're going to add to the Roth. You can contribute money to a Roth every year you work. Right? And the 401k had too much in it, so we rolled it over to an IRA and we started converting to a Roth. The contribution to a Roth is about $7,000 a year, right? But the conversion is unlimited. Unlimited conversion. And instead of adding to the 401k, we add to the 401k Roth. Does anyone work right now? Anybody working? You got a 401k at work? Do you have the 401k Roth option? You probably do and you don't know it. Your employer does not want you to do the 401k Roth. Because if you do the 401k Roth, they have to pay more tax on Social Security on your behalf. So they don't want you doing a 401k Roth. They'll never tell you about it. So if I stop adding to the problem in my tax deferred column, if I've got too much, start adding to the tax free column by either contributing to a Roth, converting to a Roth, or contributing to the 401k Roth. When I take money out of the Roth, and when I take money out of the LERP, when I take money out of the MEC, if I do it right, I can pay no tax on those withdrawals. So if I got 0 here, and I got 0 tax here, and I've got 0 tax here, how much do you think I'll pay on Social Security? Close to 0. That's the power of 0. It's all about structuring where your money is at the right place in the right bucket to pay less tax. Can we get everybody to 0? Can we get a lot of people to 0?